Each week on Culinary Confidential, Christina Cates, a seasoned foodie who has worked at some of New York City's top restaurants, will share her passion for the culinary world. Whether you're a professional chef, a restaurant enthusiast, or a lover of good food, Christina dives into the heart of hospitality, exploring the trends, triumphs, and challenges facing the food service profession. And you won't want to miss her chats with some of the most interesting and influential industry voices. And now, please take your seat at the table as Culinary Confidential with Christina Cates starts now, exclusively on AM 970, The Answer.
Welcome to Culinary Confidential with Christina Cates, the show where I go beyond the plate and pull back the curtain on the people, stories, and ideas shaping the hospitality industry and the way we dine, gather, and experience food. This show is produced in association with my dear friend, Lucas A. Ferrara. Tonight's episode is part of our Spotlight on Hospitality Industry Entrepreneurs series. And this is a huge one because my guest tonight didn't just open restaurants. He built worlds. This is someone whose work has quite literally transported millions of people around the world without ever needing a passport. If you've ever eaten beneath a thunderstorm, next to animatronic gorillas, tropical birds, or glowing aquariums, if your kids still talk about that place they went years ago, you've experienced the imagination of Steve Schussler, the creative force behind Rainforest Cafe, one of the most iconic themed restaurant concepts in the world, amongst many other successful concepts he's created. But Steve's story doesn't stop there. After redefining experiential dining in the 1990s, he went on to create the Boathouse at Disney Springs, an elevated waterfront dining experience that blends premium seafood, upscale cocktails, nostalgia, and serious operational excellence. It's a reminder that great hospitality isn't just about spectacle, it's about evolution. Steve's journey is one that you can't even imagine, and he documents it all in his book. It's a jungle in there, a candid, entertaining look at entrepreneurship, leadership, and what it really takes to build a lasting brand in hospitality. In his book, Steve pulls back the curtain on his journey, sharing lessons learned from building massive concepts, navigating risk, embracing imagination, and staying resilient through the inevitable challenges of entrepreneurship. His story is filled with moments of bold vision, failure, reinvention, and faith in ideas that others might have said were impossible. In an industry where margins are tight, trends move fast, and concepts come and go, Steve Schussler has managed to do what very few entrepreneurs achieve. He's created something unforgettable and then proved he can do it again. Steve Schussler is a visionary hospitality entrepreneur and also a best-selling author, philanthropist, and the chairman of the board at Schussler Creative, a global design and concept firm that has redefined what it means to experience a restaurant. As chairman of the board at Schussler Creative, Steve continues to lead a company that operates at the intersection of hospitality, architecture, branding, and immersive design, creating experiences for restaurants and hotels, resorts, and entertainment destinations around the globe. His work has influenced how hospitality brands think about storytelling, guest engagement, and memory-making in an increasingly competitive landscape. But what makes Steve's story especially compelling and why he's such a perfect fit for Culinary Confidential is that his journey is not just about commercial success. It's about purpose, generosity, and giving back. Steve is deeply committed to philanthropy, particularly causes that support children's, families, health initiatives, and community development. Throughout his career, he has leveraged his success to support charitable organizations, fundraisers, and nonprofit efforts, often using his platforms and venues and creativity to raise awareness and resources for those in need. His belief is simple but powerful. Hospitality at its best is about taking care of people, both inside and outside the restaurant walls. Tonight, we're talking about how bold ideas become bankable businesses, why experience matters more than ever in dining, what hospitality entrepreneurs can learn from failure, pivots, and longevity, and how storytelling, leadership, and imagination drive success. So whether you're a restaurant owner, a hospitality executive, a creative thinker, or someone who has a big idea and the courage to chase it, trust me, this episode is for you. This is a conversation for restaurateurs, the creatives, entrepreneurs, and anyone who believes that businesses can and should be driven by both innovation and heart. Joining me now is hospitality entrepreneur, creative visionary, and author Steve Schussler, the man behind Rainforest Cafe and the Boathouse and much, much more. Steve, welcome to Culinary Confidential. It's such a pleasure to have you on tonight.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be part of your show.
Oh, thank you. First, let's thank our mutual friend, Shayna Nestor, for bringing us together. She speaks so very highly of you. And I remember when I first started the show about a year and a half ago, she said to me, you know, you need to have Steve Schussler on the show, but let's just wait until you really know what you're doing because he's a really big deal, Christina. So I'm going to take this as the highest compliment that she finally connected us because I guess that means we've really got it together here on the show.
She's a true executive, a great speaker, and she represents our company so well. So I'm happy that she turned us both on to one another.
Yes. And of course, we should give a nice shout out to everyone at Gibson's Restaurant Group because they're also very supportive of the show. So shout out to all the people in Chicago.
Absolutely. And they're my operators.
Yes. And they do that very well. Okay, Steve, we have so much to talk about tonight. I did read your book and I loved it.
Oh,
I have to say.
Thank you.
To spend a minute in your brain, oh my Lord, the ideas, the passion, everything you do is so over the top. How do you turn that brain off to sleep at night?
It's very hard to sleep at night. I have a hard time. I come up with a lot of ideas and a lot of creativity at night. And so I don't get a lot of sleep.
All right, but to give the listeners an idea of the grandeur that comes with the ideas you create, Steve has a lab in Minnesota where everything is sparked first. And I'm doing a Zoom call with him tonight, and I'm taking a look into his office. It's extraordinary. You have so many accomplishments hanging behind you.
Thank you. That's very kind. We have 4 laboratories here.
Wow.
And we actually create a live model. And some of the models we've created are 10,000 square feet where we can walk through and all 5 of your senses can be absorbed by what we create.
That's amazing. All right, take us back to the very beginning, Steve. What was the spark behind Rainforest Cafe?
Well, I had live tropical birds, parrots. They have 100-plus year lifespan, and I lived among them. And I was in radio and television broadcasting. And I would come home from a pressure-oriented day, which you know what that's all about.
Oh, yeah.
And I would take my suit off and lay my briefcase down, and I would talk to my birds. And they would talk back.
And what did they say?
And hello, pretty bird, I love you. I didn't teach them any 4-letter words, thank God. But I'll tell you a funny story that just happened. A year ago, my wife and I went away on vacation for a week, and we left a couple of painters in the house. And we came back after a week, and we sat down, and we had dinner. And all of a sudden, out of the corner, one of the birds said, "You don't know."
No way.
And I think we peed in our pants laughing. But the birds are very, very, very intelligent, and they pick up on sayings and words. I would imagine the painters spend a good deal of time teaching them that.
I would think yes. I would think yes. That's so funny. All right. At the time, themed dining at this scale was risky. How did you convince investors and yourself even that this could really work?
First of all, I built it in my home. So every room in my home was occupied by something that had to do with Rainforest Cafe. And it was amazing. Everything from a greenery in the ceiling to different plant species to rope and all kinds of branches of trees and other things. I build in layers. So my whole place was evolved, enveloped in the Rainforest Cafe, including animatronic animals. I built a retail store. I had 600-gallon fish tanks filled with fish. I experimented with everything. And the first Rainforest Cafe we built, October 3rd, 1994, at Mall of America, had a great deal of the things that I had in my place. And what I did was invited investors and real estate people to look at what I've created so we could figure out what the opportunity was. And the first opportunity was the Mall of America.
You know, it's funny because like I did mention, so as I'm reading your book and you describe in the book how you transformed your house basically into the first Rainforest Cafe. I read that. And then a couple chapters in, there's pictures, right? There's pictures of your home And I was like, holy moly, he really did make his whole house, even your bedroom, your bed, was like what the restaurant wound up being.
I had thunder and rainstorms behind my bed and thunder and lightning above. Everything I did so that I could actually live within the tropical rainforest that I built to make certain that it was over sensory and that it lived up to the hype that I put into creating it.
You know what's amazing, though, because this series that I'm running right now is the Spotlight on Hospitality Entrepreneurs. You're a thinker and a doer, right? Some people think and then they can't execute. Some people execute and they don't think about it first, but you do both. And that's really, I think, why you've had so much success in your career.
Well, my mother was an artist and my father was a salesman. So I think I have a little bit of both.
Oh, yeah.
Because you can't be an out-of-the-box kind of guy like I am without then selling what you create.
I love it.
Got to have both tools.
Yes. All right. Rainforest Cafe became a global brand. What were the biggest challenges of scaling something so complex?
Getting people to stop saying that I needed a psychiatric evaluation.
Yeah.
I think all my neighbors chipped in and hired a psychiatrist, and he would call me once a week and he would say, listen, your neighbors are worried because they heard that you were painting your ceilings and walls black in preparation for your greenery treatment because you were building a tropical rainforest in your home. They were worried that you were into black magic and that you might eat their kids.
Stop. No way.
No, swear to God. So there was a lot of discourse. There's a lot of negativity. And being in radio and television, broadcasting and sales, I learned how to overcome the word no. So in my best-selling book, it's a jungle in there. One of the chapters is devoted to no is yes waiting to happen.
I love it. I love that. All right. Not every decision works, though. What were some of the hardest lessons that you learned along the way in your career?
Oh, I think the hardest lesson was that primates do not belong in home ownership.
Yeah.
I bought a baboon,
oh gosh,
thinking it would be cute and funny, and then that I would have him grow up to be part of the tropical rainforest. And that didn't work out so well. He grew fangs, and he threw things at the wall that you don't want to hear about.
Oh my gosh.
So I donated him to a zoo, and I made it a practice to make sure that everyone knows that primates belong in the jungle and in a tropical rainforest. They don't belong in home or individual ownership.
Did you have a favorite chapter in the book?
You know, every one of them has got my... I also made a verbal book where people could actually hear my voice as I walked them through the chapters. I don't think there was a favorite chapter. I think they all played into the passion that I have, and I tried to put into it. I want to influence other entrepreneurs. I want to teach people that they don't have to accept no, and if they have an imagination and they have creativity, they can make it.
I love it. Why was it important for you to tell your story through your book?
For years, I would tell people individual stories, and people would say to me, Steve, that's incredible. It can't be real. You've got to write a book and share the laughter, the fun, the ideas, the tears with other people. So it took me 3.5 years. It was probably one of the hardest things I've ever done in my life, because when you write a book, you can't take what you wrote back. So you need to make certain that you don't write anything that's not upbeat and positive about anybody.
That's true.
And that was hard, because there was a lot of things that I wanted to write about some of my experiences that weren't so great, but I decided to keep it on the upbeat and make certain I didn't write anything negative.
How many rainforest cafes are there now around the world?
Well, there's 30-something, but I built 45 in 7 years in 3 continents. What? The first one being October 4th, 1994, at the Mall of America in Minneapolis.
And you're a Minnesota boy.
Yes, I'm born and raised in New York. And I moved here 32 years ago, and I've been here ever since.
Where in New York are you from?
Queens, Far Rockaway, Bell Harbor.
Ryan Pagano. We got a Long Island boy over here. Oh, it's got to be such a, shift in culture to move from the East Coast to Minnesota, right?
Well, I like to say it's a clean New York. It's easy to get to know the people here. No problem in visiting the mayor and the city council members. And there's actually more parks and mountain bike trails and things to do outdoors in Minnesota than there is anywhere in the country. There's more boats per capita in Minneapolis than there is in Florida.
Wow. And plus, when you're building these laboratories for all your ideas, you need the space. New York can't give you the space.
No. And we build them in huge warehouses. And then it's not open to the public. It's by invitation only. And we spend a lot of time in innovation and creation.
I love it. All right. Do you think experience-driven dining is more important now than ever?
I think it is. It's called escapism, and people want to visit another place in their life. But the foodies are concerned with people like me not being as concerned with food. And that's just not true. People come once for the wow factor and what we create, but they come back for quality food and service. So our food is top notch. Our service is off the chart. Nobody does a better job than Gibson's. No company that I've ever met, nobody I've ever visited does a better job or is more concerned about their staff and their employees than the Gibson's group. So I'm proud to be affiliated with them.
That's amazing. Yeah, they are fantastic. Shout out again to Shayna. All right, Steve, there is so much more I want to get into, especially how you evolved from Rainforest Cafe into your next chapter with the Boathouse and your journey as an author. We're going to take a quick break, and when we get back, we'll talk about reinvention, leadership, and what hospitality entrepreneurs need to know right now. You're listening to Culinary Confidential on AM 970 The Answer, and we'll be right back after the commercial break.
Over the last 30 years, Newman Ferrara, a New York City law firm, has evolved into a national practice focused on real estate, commercial, litigation, civil rights, class actions, and other complex litigation, representing many of the city's largest property owners, managing agents, and thousands of tenants. Newman Ferrara handles some of the nation's most significant class actions and civil rights matters. Newman Ferrara at 1250 Broadway in New York City. Go online to newmanferrara.com. That's newmanferrara.com. Listen to the firm's name partner, Lucas Ferrara, every Saturday at 10 a.m. on Dottie Herman's longest-running real estate radio program, Eye on Real Estate on AM 970. A real estate lawyer for 35 years, Lucas is a professor at New York Law School and is also a published author with books on real estate and New York's landlord-tenant law. Tune in Saturdays at 10 a.m. to hear Lucas's unique perspective and advice on Eye on Real Estate.
Welcome back to Culinary Confidential with Christina Cates on AM 970, The Answer.
Welcome back to the show. I'm lucky to be here tonight with Steve Schussler, hospitality entrepreneur and author of It's a Jungle in There, a book that pulls back the curtain on what it really takes to survive and thrive in this industry. Steve, welcome back to the show.
Thank you.
I got to tell you, your last name can be a mouthful, right? Like Schussler. When you say that a lot in a conversation, you can get a little tongue twisted. So Shayna and I, since we've been talking about you for 6 months, she'd call me up and be like, I got the perfect nickname for him. I'm like, what is it? She goes, the Shush. I'm just going to call him the Shush from now on. So
that's it.
I'm like, that's perfect. So she'd get on the phone and go, did you get Shush yet? I'm like, yep, he's coming on next week. All right. We talked a lot of bit, we'll say, about Rainforest Cafe. You could have stayed in one lane and stayed with Rainforest Cafe. Instead, you pivoted and you opened the Boathouse at Disney Springs. What inspired the Boathouse? And how did your approach change the second time around?
Well, first we had Rainforest Cafe, and we've got two at downtown Disney in Orlando, not one. One's 5 miles away from the other one, which is also unheard of. Nobody has two of the same brands at Disney. Then we created T-Rex, which is a prehistoric family adventure, a place to eat, shop, explore, and discover with dinosaurs and prehistoric fossils and minerals and geodes. And then we created Yak and Yeti, which is a Pan-Asian restaurant. And then I saw this space that was being used by Disney that should have been the front of the house that they used for the back of the house that was right on the water in Orlando. And I thought, oh my God, how cool would it be to have these beautiful wooden boats that I see all over the 10,000 lakes in Minnesota at Disney? And how cool would it be for people to be able to take pictures? And I came up with the idea for amphicars. Those are cars that were made from 1962 to 1967. They come from Germany, and they're cars that are as cute as a bug, and they go from land in the water. And we hired captains to give out rides adjacent to our steaks, chops, and seafood restaurant called The Boathouse. And it became an instant success, a tourist attraction. Really, really incredible. I'm excited that we're the only place in the country that has amphicars and boat captains to captain the boats.
I can't remember if I read this in your book or online somewhere, but didn't you put the amphicars in the water without Disney's approval?
Yes, I did. Bob Iger, the chairman of the board of Disney, told me they looked like sinking cars. And so the answer was no. And I tried for 3 years and then finally decided to restore to mint condition, beautiful. And I paid off a couple of guys that were in charge of the water at Disney for them to let me put it in the water. And then I called Disney executives and I told them I was there. And to say they weren't happy would be an understatement. But they all came and they jumped in the cars. We had 2 of them with captains. And we drove around Disney Springs. And they said, they called Bob Iger on the phone, chairman of the board, and they said, in our lifetime, we have never seen so many of our guests taking pictures. This is, without a doubt, something that we need to have here at Disney Springs. And they gave me the phone with Bob Iger, and Bob said, Steve, you got my permission to do it, but you can never, ever be down for a day. And we've been open almost 11 years now, and we've never been down for a day.
Wow. How many of those cars do you have in the water at any given time?
We have 8 cars, and we have up to 6 cars in the water at a time. We have a whole shop with 3 mechanics. The cars are taken in at night. They're refueled, the oil's checked, the air pressure's checked, all the engine components are checked, all the hoses are checked, and they go back in the water the next morning.
I love it. I was in Disney last year. We dined at the Rainforest Cafe, but we didn't get over to the Boathouse, and Shayna gave me a lot of crap for that. She said it's the #1 restaurant in the country. You have to make your way over to Disney Springs, but there wasn't enough time. But next time I will be there for sure because it looks so cool, Steve. Did you develop this also in your lab ahead of time?
Oh, yes. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. And Disney told me no. They said, listen, you have enough places. Give some other people a chance. And I said, well, all the places that we've created and built on Disney property, they're top grossing restaurants. And Disney Imagineering and I get along so well, it would be crazy not to give us an opportunity to do another one. And they said, listen, you have enough. What don't you understand about the word no? And then I said, well, obviously no is yes waiting to happen. And I asked them permission to let me build it in their offices, to give me couple of 1,000 square feet, and that if after a couple of weeks people walking in and out of their office didn't think it was one of the hottest things that they've ever seen, that I'd leave it alone and I would never bring it up again. And after a couple of weeks of me building it and putting it in, Disney went absolutely crazy, gave us permission to do it. And it was a very expensive build because just our kitchen alone was 5,000 square feet over water.
Wow.
And we had to have fire suppression systems even below deck, even though it was over water. So it was an expensive build, and obviously one that I'm very proud of, and it was worthwhile doing.
Something tells me you don't do anything on the cheap, though. Everything is over the top and expensive.
No, as a matter of fact, Christina, we build anchors. We build flagships. We build icons. We build landmarks. We build legacies. And that costs money. You don't do that on the cheap. And I don't want people to be able to say that we took this idea from something. We didn't. As a matter of fact, the Boathouse is Art Deco meets nautical. Who's ever done anything that you know of that's nautical oriented with Art Deco? It just hasn't been done. So we like to do things that haven't been done before. And we also like to do things that people don't think they're able to do.
I love it. These are just great topics we're talking about here, Steve. I'm really enjoying this segment with you. Now, you've said creativity is a muscle. How do you keep yours sharp while running massive operations?
Well, you got to continue thinking of new ideas and new ways to do things. Just because something worked doesn't mean it's sustainable. And, when you're doing 4,000 people a day, which is what we go through at the Boathouse, you need to make certain that you're continually coming up with new, fresh, creative ideas that your guests are going to enjoy and like and talk about. We have a photographer that takes pictures of you and your family in the amphicars. We have all kinds of things that other restaurants don't provide. We like to make certain that we keep reinventing the wheel.
I love it. I guess it goes back to what you've said in the book. You create layers to things. So you've often blended entertainment, hospitality, and even retail. How important is cross-industry thinking for entrepreneurs?
Very important. Disney told me, what do you mean you need 1,500 square feet for retail? We don't have any restaurants that have retail. I said, well, we do. We don't create a restaurant that doesn't have a retail component. And we're doing over $2,000 a square foot in retail, which is unheard of in the retail market. We promised Disney that we'd make a store that was Ralph Lauren looking, with crystal chandeliers and beautiful mahogany wood floors, and that when people walked in there, they would use their disposable income. Instead of waiting 30 minutes or 45 minutes for a table, they would go shopping and they'd spend money. And they have, and they do. We have somebody that's just in charge of going to shows all over the country and picking out the top nautical-oriented items that would work for sale in our retail development. And it's worked, I'm happy to say.
I just find this very interesting, and this appeals to me a lot because I worked at Tavern on the Green, which was also a bit of an experiential dining experience. We had the gift shop. We had photographers on staff that would go from table to table taking pictures. So, I get it, and I get the need even for the gift shop. I mean, people want to take that memory home with them when they've had
That's right.
a great experience at your restaurant. It's a good talking point for them.
They want to take it home, and they'd rather spend money on really neat stuff that's classic and classy and well built from the place that they're eating at than go to another retail store.
I love it. All right, if we go back to your book for a minute, it's a jungle in there. What do you hope entrepreneurs, especially those young hospitality professionals, take away from the book?
Well, the subtitle of the book is Inspiring Lessons, Hard-Won Insights, and Other Acts of Entrepreneurial Daring. I wanted to share with them some of the hardships and make it funny. I want to make fun out of my own disasters and show them that you can get back up. I used to ride horses in the middle of New York City. Nobody knew that they were horse stables there. And if you fall off the horse, you need to get right back on. Same thing with a bicycle. You fall off the bike, you get back on and you keep going. And I needed to be able to explain to people through pictures and through my writing that you're not a failure because you fell. You're not a failure unless you decide to give up. And giving up is not an option.
That's right. I mean, there's no smooth road for an entrepreneur. It's rocky.
None.
And you have to just navigate it. And you
That's
do.
right.
You do. Okay. Do you think that there's something in the book that entrepreneurs might underestimate when they first read it?
I think everything. I think you'll find everything from Disney parks writing on the front cover of the book, and on the back cover you got Donald Trump and Stephen Covey and famous Dave Anderson, Lyle Berman, Tillman Fertitta from Landry's, which is one of my operators before I brought in Gibson's. And I think there's a lot of life lessons. And some people tell me that they've read it 2 or 3 times and they've handed it on to their kids and their grandkids, and they've all gotten a lot out of it. And that makes my heart feel good. Wasn't an easy thing to write. It took a lot of time and a lot of passion. So I'm excited that people are enjoying it and that it became a national bestseller. It was #1 on USA Today, Wall Street Journal, New York Times. I mean, that's an incredible honor to be recognized along some of the best authors and writers in the country.
Absolutely. I even brought the book in studio with me tonight, even though I knew you weren't going to be here with me. But our plan was for you to sign it when you were on the show, but you never made it to New York. So next time you're in town, I'll bring it and we'll get you to sign it.
I'm looking forward to it.
All right, Steve, your perspective on reinvention and leadership is so valuable, especially in an industry that is constantly changing. When we get back, we'll dive into advice for entrepreneurs, legacy thinking, and what's next for Steve Schussler. This is Culinary Confidential. Stay with us after the break.
Over the last 30 years, Newman Ferrara, a New York City law firm, has evolved into a national practice focused on real estate, commercial, litigation, civil rights, class actions, and other complex litigation, representing many of the city's largest property owners, managing agents, and thousands of tenants. Newman Ferrara handles some of the nation's most significant class actions and civil rights matters. Newman Ferrara at 1250 Broadway in New York City. Go online to newmanferrara.com. That's newmanferrara.com. Listen to the firm's name partner, Lucas Ferrara, every Saturday at 10 a.m. on Dottie Herman's longest-running real estate radio program, Eye on Real Estate on AM 970. A real estate lawyer for 35 years, Lucas is a professor at New York Law School and is also a published author with books on real estate and New York's landlord-tenant law. Tune in Saturdays at 10 a.m. to hear Lucas's unique perspective and advice on Eye on Real Estate.
Welcome back to Culinary Confidential with Christina Cates on AM 970. The Answer.
Welcome back to Culinary Confidential. We're wrapping up tonight with Steve Schussler, the Shush, a true hospitality pioneer and the force behind concepts like Rainforest Cafe, T-Rex, Yak Yeti, and the Boathouse at Walt Disney World. Steve, welcome back to the show.
Thank you. It's good to be back.
Okay, you talk a lot about the importance of philanthropy and entrepreneurialism. Why are you so passionate about that?
Giving back should be a natural reaction for everyone. We set up a charity. It's a 501c3 called Superheroes with Super Kids Foundation. And we take care of kids that have catastrophic illness every single month. We try to give back. I think it's part of your soul. It's part of the makeup of who you are. And I often talk about branding because we're not just restaurateurs, we're branding experts. Branding is a really important thing. When you create your own brand, you don't take it from somebody else. That's where our laboratories come in. That's where we create. For instance, Rainforest Cafe is a wild place to shop and eat. T-Rex, a place to eat, shop, explore, and discover. We've trademarked all of that.
Very smart.
And my business cards are all three-dimensional. We were featured in the Detroit News, Inc. magazine, Print Solutions magazine. Our business cards take a month to make. They're all die cut. They're made out of plastic. They go through the washing machine. People put them on their refrigerator. They put them on their computer. And it's an expression of our creativity. And it's not just another business card that's put in a rubber band with a bunch of white cards. So we look at everything we do, from the smallest thing, a business card, to the biggest things. There's nothing we try to leave undone in between those things.
Come on, you got to have one lying around that office. I see a bunch of things around there. You got to show me one of these business cards.
I'll show you one of the business cards. I'd love to. Can you see this?
Oh, yeah, I can see that. You were not lying.
No. And I'm going to show you another one. I'll show you a couple of them because they're so different. They're so cool. And they were so much fun making. This is Rainforest Cafe.
Oh, yeah. Is that a parrot?
That's
wow.
A parrot. It's called a hyacinth macaw. It's one of the tallest parrots in the world. And then this is T-Rex.
These are
Can
great.
You see it?
These are fantastic. You got to text me these. I got to post these so people can see.
No, they're absolutely unbelievable. I get letters every week from people all over the country saying that they heard about our business cards. Can we send them a sample? Wow. So I love it. My card was featured next to Lee Iacocca's card, the Detroit News. And so I called Lee Iacocca up on the phone. And I said, the Detroit News just did a big article on business cards. Your card was featured next to mine. And we got to be friends. We got to know each other really well from a conversation about business cards.
Well, I guess that's the whole purpose, right? It opens up
a lot of doors.
Yeah, that's great. That's amazing. All right. You talk a lot in the book about the importance of multitasking.
Yes.
Do you ever multitask too much?
I don't think there's any such thing. Like some people say to me, they hate change. Well, change is inevitable. Okay? Change is going to happen with or without you. So go along with the program and stop complaining. And multitasking, I've got I've got 4 phones in my office. And people say, why do you have 4 phones? Well, sometimes I have a guest and they want to make a phone call. So the phone's in front of them. They can make a phone call. Sometimes I'll be on the phone and another phone will ring and we put them on hold so that they can wait. We're communication experts. As brand setting people, that we need to make sure that we make communication part of our everyday business in everything we do.
I love it. All right. Passion versus ambition. Which is more important?
Passion. Well, I like to say, one of my favorite sayings is, I have 27 sayings that I have in front of me that I use all the time. And one of them is passion plus ambition yields success. It pays. Pays. You can have passion, but not have any ambition. You got to have both in order to be successful. Got to have the passion, and you got to have the ambition to put the passion to work.
And you did that for sure. Okay, what's next on the horizon for Steve Schussler? We know you've got stuff cooking in that lab of yours.
We do. We have a live entertainment concept,
Ooh.
Which is it's great food, live music, fashion, and art.
Wow.
That's one of the new concepts. Another concept has to do with geodes and things that were made 10 million years ago in the earth, amethysts and things like that, and being able to eat around that.
Ooh,
and being able to show what the inside of the earth was made of. So, and we have a winter wonderland where everything is winter oriented, and you have lots of marshmallow drinks and hot chocolate and home cooked foods, double baked lasagna, and just out of the ballpark, chicken done 5 different ways, and so we're really, really excited. We work with both food and decor in our laboratories.
Are any of these concepts making their way to New York?
Hopefully, if we can find the right spot to put it, the right landlord that will allow us to put it in, and a price that's fitting to be able for us to make a profit.
That's amazing. These really sound so trippy and cool, especially that one about the inside of the earth. Like, I think that's really nifty. Never used that word before.
It's exciting, and when you see it, you'll get excited just from the visuals. And we write a story We write a book about every concept we create. We talk about the DNA. We talk about the history. We go into great detail, not just building it out, but actual stories, just like Disney does. Disney doesn't do anything without a story, and neither do we.
I like that. And you know what I like about this the most? I like to go out to dinner. I like to dine. I have 2 small children. Hard for them to sit still. Restaurants like this keep them entertained while we're dining.
Absolutely. And there's things for the kids to do in the restaurant so that it's interactive while the parents are still eating, because we usually take a little bit more time to eat than the kids do.
Exactly. Okay, we're nearing the end of our time together, which is so disappointing for me. But what is some advice you would give to someone launching a hospitality concept?
Well, passion trumps problems. Never burn bridges. Persist and prevail. Have a caring attitude. No is yes waiting to happen. I never had a bad day. Be dream driven. Always sweat the small stuff. People tell you and me all the time, don't worry about the small stuff. Don't sweat the small stuff. That's a bunch of bull. The small stuff is what makes things happen.
That's right.
Ignoring the small stuff is the biggest mistake you could make.
The devil is in the details. Steve Schussler, this was a great show. Thank you so much for coming on, making time. I know you are a busy man, and I can't wait to meet you in person one day.
I can't wait to see you in New York. Thank you so very much.
Be well. Okay, that brings us to our ingredient of the week. And our ingredient of the week is smoked paprika. Smoked paprika is bold, immersive, and impossible to ignore, just like Steve Schussler and the hospitality worlds he's built. Made by slowly drying peppers over fire, this spice is transformed through time, smoke, and intention. It doesn't just add flavor, it creates atmosphere. One sprinkle can shift a dish from ordinary to theatrical, much like Steve's ability to turn dining into an experience rather than just a meal. Smoked paprika reminds us that great ideas, like great flavors, come from taking risks, leaning into drama, and understanding the power of sensory impact. In the same way Steve built restaurants that engage all 5 senses, smoked paprika delivers aroma, color, and depth. It's not background flavor, it's the headline. Some ways to use smoked paprika that I like is maybe with some shrimp by grilling it or sautéing it. You can dust it over French fries and crispy potatoes. You can make a smoked paprika aioli or a smoked paprika butter. You can put it on octopus and calamari, even just some roasted vegetables. Or you can make a smoky tomato or seafood stew. The paprika really builds the base flavor. But some simple at-home ways to use it that can elevate dishes. Let's say deviled eggs with smoked paprika. You can toss popcorn in it with a little sea salt. Eggs, avocado toast, those breakfast potatoes with that bold finishing sprinkle goes a long way. Smoked paprika proves that when you lead with boldness and intention, you don't just season food, you create an experience. Thank you for listening to Culinary Confidential with Christina Cates, Sunday nights at 9 p.m. on AM 970 The Answer. Tune in next week for the last episode in my spotlight on hospitality industry entrepreneurs. I am inviting on the show Amy Russo, a dynamic woman in the hospitality industry who owns a multi-unit casual eatery concept called Toast in New Jersey. She has a really great story about taking over her father's business and really scaling it and making it her own. That's the show for tonight. Thanks for listening and have a great night.
The preceding program is sponsored by Shake It Off Live, LLC.